First off, I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight for our Estrela Star Paths webinar. I am Alyson Campbell, for those of you that don't know me, and I have been with the Estrela team for almost a year now. And for those of you that don't know me too terribly well yet, in my former life, I was a college basketball coach at Baldwin Wallace, and Monica is one of my former players. So this Star Path webinar is very, very special to me because I feel like it is a full circle moment as I welcome Monica back now as a very successful professional in the sports management field. So we are going to talk to her for about a half hour about what she's currently doing in her role, and I'm going to provide a quick bio. So welcome, Monica.
Thank you so much for having me, Allison.
So I'm going to give a quick bio, like I said, about Monica, and then we'll get into some Q&A. If you guys have Q&A while the webinar is going on, feel free to drop it into the chat, and then we can probably touch base with that at the end. Okay. So like I mentioned, Monica has been working her way up the ranks at the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission, and she has been vital to bringing many mainstream and high-level sporting events to the Greater Cleveland and Northeast Ohio area. In her current role as the Vice President of the Business Development for the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission, she's in charge of creating and bid event attraction for the organization. She also serves as the Executive Director of the 2024 NCAA Women's Final Four. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. She's also assisted in the attraction of over 115 events to Northeast Ohio, totaling in over $560 million of economic impact. The most significant events include the 2019 Major League Baseball All-Star Game, the 2021 NFL Draft, the 2022 NBA All-Star Game, and like I just mentioned, the 2024 NCAA Women's Final Four and the 2024 Pan American Masters Games. So not much, really. So thanks so much for being here. I know this is a crazy time of year for you as you prepare to bring the Women's Final Four to Cleveland. We are so excited for that. And like I said, you were a sport management major at Baldwin Wallace. All Jackets.
YJ4L, Allison. I love it. I love it.
I know we share our yellow jacket pride. I know I need to be very unbiased here as I'm
Right.
navigating all of you, but we both were graduates of the sport management program at Baldwin Wallace, and through coaching, and I had a recreation background as well. I worked for a few recreation companies in the years right after graduation, and now I found my home at Estrela. But I want Monica just to give a little bit of overview of what sport management really means, because it is a very broad umbrella, and you can work in many different avenues or arenas in sport management. So Monica, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, thank you very much again, Allison, for having me. And thank you everybody for joining. I know it's a weeknight and, listening to somebody talk about your future, the fact that you're here is incredible. So I am also here. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. We will get to all of them. Happy to kind of make it, more of a discussion with everybody too. Allison, thank you for the intro. You hit the highlights, but I wanted to mention, we got the big ones, NFL Draft, NBA All-Star, but we also host the International Yo-Yo Championships. We also host USA Triathlon. We also host USA Fencing. So when we're talking about sports, it's a lot of amateur, as well as, we dabble in the professional when it comes to those too. So a wide variety. But as for sport management, you could do so many things with this, right? So especially if you double major, and that would be a huge proponent of mine as well. Something that I wish I would have done looking back now. But like you yourself, you went into recreation, you went into coaching. You can go the PR route or community programming. You can do sports marketing. There's just so many opportunities that you can get your sport management degree, but you can also focus in some type of area, whether you're really into digital marketing, whether you're into design, those logos for events and teams don't make themselves. So there's finance is a huge aspect of it. HR, if you want to be involved, whether it be collegiate athletics, high school athletics, professional, nonprofit world like myself, Olympic, national governing bodies. There's so many jobs out there that are changing all the time. So a huge, with that sport management major, you get to focus on the variety of specialties. So when I was in school, we did sports finance. It's really a finance class, but we get to talk about sports while we're in it. which is fantastic. Sports marketing, sports ethics was a big one that I really enjoyed. So we're talking about a sport management major. It always has that focus of what that sport is, which is really just an enterprise. Again, at high school, collegiate, or professional level, it's just the enterprise that you're in. And for me, that's what made it exciting. So what I do now, I work for a nonprofit. So we are solely responsible for attracting events that have anything to do with competition to make Northeast Ohio economic direct spending. So folks are coming, staying in hotels, restaurants, all that type of thing. Economic impact, and then just changing the perception. I mean, Northeast Ohio, Cleveland kind of has a bad reputation, but it's a great place to live. It's a great place to have fun. I know I have a lot of fun living here. And it's a great place to do business too. And we have it kind of everything to make it a full rounded experience for both the visitor and if you want to live here someday. So that's kind of what I do now. But what we do is bid on the events to get them here. So we make that sale, and then we're in event management from there. So we have 15 full-time people here. So I'm bringing this full circle, I promise. But we have 15 full-time people. We have 3 people in marketing and communications, and it's broken down with digital. It's broken down in all of that. We have 3 full-time people that are event operations folks. So when these events come here, those are the folks that are on the ground helping them run the events. We've got 2 full-time people dedicated to, okay, so we have this event. So we have USA Fencing that's here. How can we partner with the city of Cleveland, the Boys and Girls Clubs, other rec centers to introduce fencing to them? And maybe we'll have an Olympic fencer out of Cleveland someday, or maybe 50 kids will learn fencing, love it, and have a lifelong sport, and their lives are better for that. So again, we have a finance person, we have an HR person that are all involved in all of these great sporting events of all sizes. So it's really, find your niche that you like, and you can be involved in sports somehow, whichever way, whichever it's high school coaching, whatever, the athletic director, high school, collegiate, pro, nonprofit, it's kind of all available, which is the coolest part of my job.
That's really
Long
interesting.
answer.
No, that was great. And I really appreciate that you said, I mean, basically, if you're someone who is interested in finance, or if you're interested in coaching or agency, I think that's one that's
Yep.
kind of like not thought of as much. If you're
Mhm.
interested in law, you could be a sports agent. So
Yep.
basically finding something that you're passionate about, and then how can you tie sports into it? And I think sport management is a very good dual degree program, or a major with a minor that
Yep.
kind of gives you
Yep.
some sort of backing. So those are really good insights. And I can't believe you only have 15 full-time people. I feel like bringing on something like the Women's Final Four or the NFL Draft, to only have 15 people that are basically the heart and soul of that event, especially because it's people from the outside. It's all these people that are not native to Cleveland that you have to acclimate to your facilities, to the transportation, to the scheduling. I mean, that type of stuff. That's pretty incredible.
We answered a lot of like, where's the best place to do this? And, how can we work with the city, the county? Sometimes we get Cleveland State involved because they're so close. The Mid-American Conference is here. I forgot to talk about conferences as well. We are the conduit to Cleveland, which is great. We're the biggest cheerleaders for Cleveland, besides really the people that live here.
Yeah. And do you do a lot of work with Destination Cleveland, like kind of like
It's a
Chamber of
great question.
Commerce? Okay.
Yep. So Destination Cleveland is the county's Convention and Visitors Bureau. So what we do at the Sports Commission, we're separate entities. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. They're a 501c6, I believe. Destination Cleveland receives money from bed tax. Sports Commission is fully self-funded by private and public grants that we get. But Destination Cleveland, if you think of it through the lens, if there's an aspect of competition to the event that we have to go bid on to bring here, competition is where the Sports Commission comes in. If it is a meeting, a family gathering, a huge convention, that is where Destination Cleveland takes the lead. So
Okay.
if it's business or leisure travel is really what they're invested in. And we are, if it's competition, it's the Sports Commission. And when I say competition, Irish dance. Our CEO is going to the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championships in San Diego to scout it out, to bring it here. Speed puzzling, it's a competition. And then, and we also host the NFL draft and women's final four and NCAA
Yeah.
championships. So
That's incredible. I just love the diversity of all of the levels of competition there could be.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
The way we talk about it is we're not going to be experts in the sport or competition itself, but everything that's outside of your pitch, your pool, any of that, we've got your back.
Awesome. I love it. All right, Monica, tell us a little bit more about why you personally wanted to pursue sport management.
So I didn't know going into college. I, you know, was kind of feeling out. I wanted to play basketball. I had played basketball my whole life. I said, all right, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get a degree. I'm going to figure it out. I changed my major twice. But the constant was I loved producing something that people enjoy. And I didn't know how to channel that, whether it be, I looked at PT, physical therapy. I looked at just getting a business admin degree, all of those types of things. But the point of emphasis for me was producing and creating something that other people enjoy and planning. I love it.
Yeah,
So
you're
keeping
good
that
at it.
aspect of competition and sport was once that I really got wrapped my head around what the major was, and we had a guest speaker that came to speak about what sports commissions are and all of that type of thing. I said, "Oh, I want to do that. That's what I think I want to do."
Yeah. And I know that the Sports Commission has a good track record of seeking out interns and,
Mhm.
really kind of welcoming in people that want to learn and kind of get their feet wet because it is such a like ground level organization. And, it's a great way to vet, which kind of actually leads me into my next question. Um, as people are, pursuing this career, what are you seeing that is going to make someone very successful as a sport management professional? Like what type of personality traits or
Yeah.
work ethic like do they need to be successful in this field?
So I think for any field, and I'm still learning it myself, but for anything, my biggest, hey, this is what I've kind of come to find out, and then I'll get into what sport management specifically, but it's just being yourself and being authentic. I think that is, if someone would have said, no, focus on being you when I was 20 or 21, I would have, it would have just changed a lot for me. So number one, just be authentic, be yourself, because that's going to be the best version of you, which is something that you don't hear a lot. So sports are tough to get into. So you want to give yourself every advantage, whether it be pro sports, whether it be working at a conference, high school. There's not a. It's just tough to break the mold, to break in. And the most success that I've seen is if I started in high school volunteering, the Columbus Sports Commission at Ohio State, just volunteering, being around. Um, some once in a lifetime events and some events that are a little bit of a grind. Being at a pool all day is a little bit of a grind, but I got to meet people and I learned how things work and I got to, install signage, just random stuff like that, where at my next stop, I was seen as, oh, she knows how to do these things. So volunteering first. And then the biggest piece of advice and why I enjoyed college so much was just the push for internships. Just go be an intern. Go to an office, once a week or twice a week, whenever, your that internship has in office hours and in office opportunities. Go get that experience. It was invaluable to me. It's how I ended up, where I still am 12 years later now.
Yeah. And I totally agree. We tell a lot of, I mean, all of our Estrella students that internships are so vital because
Mhm.
if it's not giving you maybe, resume material or just experience, obviously, it can also lead you to what you might not want to do. Before you get
Mhm.
really invested in a major, if you're able to do an internship as a freshman or a sophomore, and you're like, no, this isn't for me. I don't want to sit at a pool all day. I don't want to be at the volleyball game on a
Yep.
Saturday afternoon. I don't know anything about volleyball. I don't want to be here till 11:30 because I have to
Yep.
swim the bleachers. I mean, it's a great way to find out what you may not want to do. So the internship experience is definitely invaluable, and I appreciate you shedding a little bit
So
of light on that.
I had an internship in sales. I won't mention the company because it's nothing against the company whatsoever. It was an internship that paid more than I had ever seen for an internship. So I was like, oh, I'm going to do this and get some experience. I dreaded it. every day. It was not for me. Some people it is, and it's fantastic. But to your point, it was not for me. But I would say being your authentic self, and then at the end of it, you just have to be willing to put in the work. You just always have to be willing to put in the work.
Definitely. And I think maybe there's a misnomer that it's going to be so fun to work in sports, oh, I get to work for the Cavs or I get to, work for the Buckeyes or whatever. And we don't just work with Ohio students. We have students all across the US. So insert your local sports team or local college or high school. But again, someone who was a sport management major as well, like to know, I like to go to bed at 9 o'clock. I don't get crazy on the weekends. And a lot of the sporting events, they're in the weekends, they are late at night. So just shedding a little bit of light, like give us kind of like what your day would look like as a sports management professional.
Sure. So if you're working for, minor league baseball, you know that it's going to be a lot of games. And if you're in sales, you're probably going to be pulling the tarp at some point. You're probably be going to be working concessions at some point. It's just a part of what the expectations are for minor league sports, for pro sports. When it's game day, it's game day. When you have, if you work at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse or whatever the major arena is in your area, our friends at RMFH just had, I think, 26 events in 29 days. That's a lot, but it's a part of it. But you know who was there? Drake was there. Madonna was there. These once in a lifetime, marquee folks. Last night it was the Kelsey Brothers bobblehead game, and it was an epic game, but they were there till midnight. You know what I mean? So it's that big trade-off of, in my experience, we hosted USA Triathlon one year, huge event, massive, 5,000 participants, right? So it's run, bike, swim. The bike is, 40 to 70 miles, depending on which one you do. So we had to make sure that the roads were clear and clean. You know what's on roads sometimes? Roadkill. So we were out there, clear, truthfully. And you know what I was doing the next week? We were prepping the draft, and Roger Goodell was in our office. So you know what I mean? So it's just like these odd, like, I can't believe this is my job. I can't believe this is my job. Like those, we have those all of the time.
That's a great
It's
analogy.
nuts.
I
It's
mean, that is
nuts.
wild. But thank you for sharing that because that is true. I mean, there's, I'm sure, extreme highs and extreme lows, extreme, times where you're just like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? And like, holy crap. So that's
Tomorrow I'm on a panel with Swin Cash, huge WNBA player, works for the Pelicans now. And this weekend I'm a lane timer at D2 swimming and diving all weekend.
yeah,
It is what I'm going to enjoy both of them because when it comes
yeah,
down to it, hosting an NCAA championship is awesome. So,
that's really cool. That's
yep.
awesome. So I think you kind of touched on this in, I'm going to repeat the question, and if we touched on this, then we can kind of move forward. But what are the best ways to get relevant experience as a high school student, which many of the people who are viewing are high school students or their families, or even as a college student?
Yeah, volunteer internships, and when you can attend. Um, and one thing I know I wish I did more of is, send an email. Hey, can I have a info session with you, 15 minutes to just learn about what you do, who you are, those type of things. I know everybody in our office is more than willing to do those. We do those quite often with just informational interviews. There's no harm in asking.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think just making those connections and that FaceTime with people is so invaluable. Um, Writing a thank you note. I know I'm definitely old school, but just like taking the time to do a follow-up with those people, for
Yep.
that 15 minutes of their time. Because again, like someone like Monica who's trying to set up the women's Final Four, and she's so gracious, we booked this months ago, and I'm like, are you sure that we can do it at this time? So yeah, no problem, anything. And I know because again, when you're a sport management major too, it's just kind of the grind and the mentality, like you're looking out for one another. So if she is able to help educate someone that is potentially considering this field and to give you the highs and the lows and what to expect and how to be successful, I feel like the sport management majors are typically looking out for each other's back. So
It's a
we,
true teamwork, you know what I mean? It goes from the court, the field, whatever, to just it's a life thing for sure.
yeah, yeah. So I have a couple more questions. Let me see. I'm going to check the chat. All right. Nothing quite in there yet. Okay. So going kind of to a personal question about your experiences, what was the most influential or impactful sport management experience that you have been a part of as a student or professional? So this doesn't have to be like the stars, the
Yep.
starstruck part, like something that really just like humbled you or made you appreciate or want
Mhm.
more. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
I did, like I said, I did a ton. I think I did 7 internships through college, which was too many, you know. I mean, just kidding. Do as many, do all of
Plus,
them.
being a student athlete, that's a
Right.
lot.
Yeah, it was in, I shared that made it interesting choices with a few of them, right? Um, but the most influential will always be, and I know it's a very cheesy thing, but when I was an intern here, I think it was my senior year, we hosted an event at it was First Energy Stadium then, and it was my first, big event. It was HBCU Classic, so it was two HBCU schools with a football game, and there was a college fair with it and everything like that. It was the first one that I had helped plan from the start, and just seeing people enjoy the game in the stadium, but also East 4th Street, which is an entertainment district in Cleveland. It's got a bunch of restaurants, a few bars, those types of things. But I got to walk out there and see everybody in their school colors, enjoying enjoying the city, enjoying that camaraderie of this person came in from California, these people came in from Texas. Like we're all using this as a place to meet up and enjoy the city, enjoy the game, enjoy just the spirit of coming to an event that is like their annual thing that they do. So that's always going to kind of, when it gets to, oh man, this is, I've been here late every night, yada yada yada, and then the event happens and maybe something goes wrong during the day, but there's always going to be a moment when you look in your sold out arena, or someone hits a game winning shot, or there's an unbelievable catch, or oh my goodness, did you see how fast she just swam that? There's always going to be those moments that's like, oh, I'm getting chills right now. Like this is worth it. You know what I mean? This is all for a purpose.
Definitely. No, I appreciate that. You definitely put in the time and it's quite the grind, but the payoff is enormous.
Mhm.
And it's really amazing what the sports landscape and the people that you and the people that you work with have done for the city of Cleveland. And like you said, I feel like unless you are from this area, it's hard to really understand because of whatever, national generalizations that are made about Cleveland. It is really a great city and the facilities are top class. It's easy to get
Mhm.
around, the cost of living, there's great food and entertainment. And it's really showcased through what you and your team have done to bring these premier sporting events to Cleveland. So we applaud you and the work that your team is doing. It's really incredible.
Yeah. And thank you very much. And there are sports commissions all over the country. So I would encourage whatever city you're in, near, anything like that. If any of this work appeals to you, reach out to folks. We've got great friends in Kansas City, in St. Louis, in Portland, in Columbus. Major cities with sports commissions like this are all looking for the same type of people, for the same type of things. Um, yeah, so you can all brag on your location sometime.
All right, that's good to know. I didn't realize that. I didn't know if that was something that was, just
Mhm.
special for Cleveland, or if they had a different name for it elsewhere, but it just would be the sports commission in whatever town or whatever
Yep,
city.
Sports Commission, Sports Authority.
Okay.
Yeah, our kind of, it's not a governing body, but it's Sports Events Travel Association. So Sports ETA is kind of the we all belong to it. I don't know why this term is blanking on me, but it's like overarching, trade show type of a thing where everybody's involved in. Everybody's a member. There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you like, some sort of
Yep.
association that people can
There we
belong
go. Thank you.
to. Got it. So we have just a few minutes left. I will try to respect everybody's time, but I just want to get, because we have, again, like probably 2 minutes to discuss it. We were talking before we logged in about the women's Final Four, and really, aside from Taylor Swift and the Kelsey brothers, there is really no hotter commodity in sports right now. Like the demand for women's college basketball is just through the roof. So what are you seeing? Because I'm sure, the tickets would sell or whatever, but now like the tickets are sold out. The tickets are, $450 on StubHub to get a ticket to the women's Final Four. Like, what are you doing that might be, I don't know, a little bit more extra in order to prepare for this pandemonium for women's college basketball?
For sure. What a time to host this event. It's been absolutely incredible. We're growing along with the women's basketball team at the NCAA and learning every day. We're fortunate to have Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, which is one of the top arenas in the country, and I will stand on that. So we know we're set there, but it's really how do you prepare a community for something like this? So we're, of course, helping book private events. We are working to really market all the free opportunities that come with it. Alyson, I can't wait for your family to be at Town, to be at the Bounce, to be at the Super Saturday concert, to be at open practice. But how do you prepare your community for this? How do you make sure that on Sundays when restaurants might be closed typically, they stay open because the championship game is at 3 and people are going to want to party after. They're going to want to eat after. How do you prepare your city security forces to be prepared for what this demand is? So we are very close to feeling like we're in a great spot, which we will be, to turn women's Final Four to a big check box, have a very successful event. And then Monday in our community is the total eclipse. So Cleveland is along the longest path of totality for the eclipse that'll be on Monday, April 8th, directly then followed by the Guardians, our baseball team's home opener. So huge weekend, right? Now you have women's basketball, the premier mega elite women's sporting event in the world, followed by a total eclipse with the Guardians. So a lot of collaboration between a lot of different services and private public entities around Northeast Ohio.
Wow.
Bring it all. Bring it all on.
Seriously, I mean, who's more prepared than Cleveland, Ohio?
Come
Nobody.
on.
So that's incredible. I mean, obviously I know because I'm right in the line of the eclipse as well. I knew, but I didn't make the connection that that was the same weekend. And I also knew that that was the Guardians home opener. So
Yeah.
what a time to be alive, but
What a time to be in the sports and entertainment world.
definitely. Well, thank you, Monica. This has been so much fun. You know how much you mean to me, and I'm just so proud of you for all of your success and for the wonderful work that you're doing. I'm going to share a slide real fast, but also when we send out this recording to everyone who registered, I will make sure to put your LinkedIn information, your email. You
Great.
don't mind if people reach out to you via email? Okay.
Nope.
And then also the link for the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission. So I am just going to share my screen real fast, and so you can see that is Monica's email right here. Like I said, and you can click on these links. I was going to click it, but they can't click it for you. So to look her up on LinkedIn, you can check out the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission website, and we will wrap it up. So thanks again, Monica. We loved
Yeah,
having
thank
you.
you.
And
Please
I will,
do reach out. Anybody on, if you have a question that comes to you later, let me know. Or if you want an intro to anybody else that works here, please let me know. Alyson, thank you. It was so good to get to catch up a little bit too.
yes, I appreciate it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye-bye.